Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk update each and every weekday. Of course, breaking news pending. We appreciate you joining us on this Thursday. Hope your week is going well. We're almost to the weekend. And, of course, we've had some rainy weather and some storms to talk about, of course, in the previous days this week. Hopefully we won't see a ton of that in our weekend, although we do have the possibility of rain and maybe some stormy activity. Our first alert weather team will be in here at 2:30 to kind of give you an idea of that. We want to talk to you about some stories that we're following first today. Happening in less than an hour, a federal judge could decide whether the law creating the Metro Jackson Water Authority would take effect. A hearing is set for 2 p.m. in U.S. District Court. City officials want the judge to block the law, arguing it violates the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. The hearing comes one day before a deadline to appoint nominees to the authority's governing board. 5 of the 9 members have been announced thus far. A billing dispute has landed a Jackson apartment complex in federal court. Jackson Water says the owner of Blossom Apartments on Woodbine Street owes close to $500,000 in unpaid water bills. Now, attorneys for both sides made their arguments in federal court yesterday, I believe. The owner of Blossom Apartments, who we've had on our air many times, Tony Little, says there were issues when it comes to his water bill. He says some months he didn't even get a bill, and when he did, there were discrepancies. But the judge hasn't decided how much Little has to pay. He sided with Jackson Water in the sense that Little should have to pay for the water that tenants have used. Jackson Water says Blossom owes more than $400,000. The water company even cut off the water at the complex because of the high unpaid balance that forced tenants to move out. We covered this extensively. Little claims that number is wrong and he was given an inaccurate bill. As a result, his attorney claims he shouldn't pay because the water company can't produce a proper bill.
We do have proof, and it's proof they actually submitted that we want to present to the court when we go back in session, but there's no real way to calculate it. If you ask them, how do you come up with these numbers? They can't tell you, and we can't tell you. So as relates to the burden of proof, it's kind of hard to determine how much you owe when you don't know how it's calculated.
Now, Jackson Water first filed a lawsuit against Little back in August of last year. At that time, the bill was $418,000. It has since increased to $466,000. Federal Judge Henry Wincate is now blocking 3 lower courts from taking action on the complex until this billing dispute is settled in his courtroom. Meanwhile, another legal challenge we're following, the one involving former Hinds County Supervisor David Archie, saying that his primary election loss was because of election issues. That continued yesterday with testimony from a new witness, Jackie Amos. who was once executive director of the Democratic Party of Mississippi, testified about election security procedures, explaining that ballot boxes are kept secured and that media thumb drives tracking machine vote totals are also stored under tight controls. She said the encrypted drives help prevent tampering. Archie's camp has alleged some ballot boxes were left open. That's a claim that Amos disputes.
More than anything, Jacqueline was disappointed that David would actually think that I, of all people, had the capability, the knowledge, the equipment, the wherewithal, and know-how to actually interfere and change votes on an election.
Amos also testified that affidavit and absentee ballots are stored in separate sealed envelopes to protect voter integrity. She added that as someone who grew up with Archie, she was disappointed by these allegations. Finally, a U.S. Supreme Court decision on a Louisiana case is triggering a special session at the Mississippi Capitol. It's also raising new questions about how district lines should be drawn. The High Court struck down a Louisiana map that added a second majority black district, saying that race played too big a role in how those lines were drawn. Here in Mississippi, Republicans like state GOP Chairman Mike Hurst are calling the decision a reset. He says district lines should not be drawn mainly with race in mind. But Jackson State University professor DeAndre Ori says the High Court's ruling could make it more difficult to challenge maps that weaken black voting strength.
Courts have said it's repugnant to have an ideal of a colorblind society when the courts have used the Voting Rights Act this way. So this is going to normal the playing field. It's going to make, politics in the political realm and not in the judicial system.
If that's the case that, people don't interpret the Section 2 in the way that it's typically been interpreted, then you might see the elimination of blacks in political offices.
The Louisiana decision also triggers a special session by Governor Tate Reeves to redraw the state Supreme Court district lines. It's set to begin May 20th. Governor Reeves issuing a statement saying, in part, the Calais decision is a win for our Constitution and a tremendous win for our republic. It was long past time to end racial redistricting. The United States will be better because of it. The decision reaffirms what we knew all along, that all Americans, regardless of race, are equal. And again, that from Governor Tate Reeves. Democratic Congressman Benny Thompson saying, in part, this decision dishonors the legacy of voting rights activists, some of whom paid the ultimate sacrifice for citizens of our state to have equal representation and to participate in fair elections. Got a couple of you saying hi on this Thursday. Miss Brenda McLaurin Hayes, good afternoon to you as well. Hope you're doing well. And Britt, hey, CJ and everyone. That's right. It is Friday Eve, isn't it? It is. We're so much closer to the weekend. Thank you for that, Britt. She is a loyal viewer, watches just about every day. And that is all the time we have for this edition of the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update for your Thursday. We appreciate all of you watching on our streaming platforms on Facebook and YouTube, as well as our OTT platform. Our early evening newscasts begin at 4 p.m. on air and online, and our First Alert Weather Team will be in here at 2:30 to give you an update on what you can expect for your weekend. For everyone here at WLBT, I'm CJ LeMaster, your lead investigative reporter and your host for the WLBT Plus Digital News Desk Update takes place at 1 p.m. on our weekdays. We appreciate you watching, and we will see you back here tomorrow.